Issue 163. We start out with one of the mercenaries after several weeks picking up Sonic's trail. Worst mercenaries ever. You'd think that they would have dogs, like police dogs, that can detect a person's scent. One of the mercenaries actually lampshades why they took so long, asking why his teammates' super tracking powers took so long to find Sonic's scent. Oh, he says, "Hey Tom, I felt I had a cold." That's a pretty amusing justification. I'm impressed. Although again, I've had plenty of colds and was still able to smell my supper cooking. Maybe colds just work differently for him. One of the other mercenaries says they should stop bickering and just enjoy the thrill of the hunt as they detect Sonic in the city. They tell a grandma that no one crosses them and lives and she should get out of their way. Is she really someone important? Then it turns out she turns them all to stone, so I was right that she's important. Because she's actually Medusa. In a clever twist on the tale, one of the mercenaries isn't defective because he's already made of stone. But then there's yet another twist I wasn't expecting, as Medusa's power had a delayed reaction on him, turning him into sand instead. Well, that takes care of the mercenaries. It makes the entire story where they established to be hired pointless. Which is the only reason I have a problem with this, because otherwise, good, the villains were taken care of. But still, that was pointless. Meanwhile, we see Sonic, and particularly Amy, looking really weird and unnatural with their art. I think it's because of the way there's lighter shaded lines at the outer edges of their hair. And Amy looks like a puppet with a creepy mouth and shrunken eyes. Normally, something Fleetway has over Archie is consistently good art. I think it was Mick something who was the bad artist of this comic. And usually he's constrained to backup stories for a reason. So I guess the Fleetway Sonic comic suffered budget problems, and that's why they stuck to reprints for most of the issues. Anyways, after Sonic complains about wanting some action, a civilian warns him about Medusa, and Amy warns him that if he looks at her, he'll turn to stone. He asks her how she knows that, and fortunately she explains that she had heard about Medusa when visiting ancient Greece on Earth months ago. Odd, I don't remember her learning about Medusa. She must have learned about it off-screen. I guess in between the time that it took between her meeting Hercules and walking with him all the way to the feast he had. I guess Medusa time traveled to the future from that place and shrunk down to the size of an atom to come here, since, yeah, a Greek mythological creature like her is very out of place here. Why was Amy even doubting her existence to begin with when she's literally met Zeus? She's seen plenty of stranger things. Being smart, Amy closes her eyes and takes the Shield of the Night, saying that she heard Medusa was defeated by Jason reflecting her image back at herself. I guess that won't work because it's too early into the story and it'll be too easy. And it was spoiled by the formatting indeed, because it turns out Medusa's immune to her own magic, which makes sense. Sonic runs away and lets her follow because he wants to move the fight away from the city so no one else gets hurt. He closes his eyes and ends up running right into a pillar. I guess if he just ran into her with his eyes closed, he'd risk missing. And maybe he wants to go easy on an organic being. But with the speed at which he runs, you'd think he'd hit her eventually with all the distance he could cover, regardless of his eyes being closed. Then, unsurprisingly, it turns out that the guy who was living perfectly fine as a stone statue is living perfectly fine as a sand statue too. So that was probably a delayed reaction as well, since it should have been the case right away. I'm only saying probably and I guess all the time as a safety net just in case. Though when I was reading out the script, I completely forgot that he was just fine as sand, so that really is a good twist. Sonic hits the sand monster to shield him and Amy, and taunts Medusa that she can't use her powers on someone she can't see. How would he know that? And with them not being able to see her, Sonic and Amy can look at her just fine, and Amy hits her, getting her arrested with a bag over her head. Lou Stringer wrote the only story here. And while it is a creative twist on the Medusa concept, thank goodness it's over because Amy just looked awful in it. Another reason that they should have had Techno here instead of Amy, because not only would she have gotten the story arc done faster, but he's better at drawing Techno. Though what really matters in the story is the story, but when the art sucks that hard, it makes it tedious just reading the issue no matter what the story is. The It's about Sonic and Amy dealing with Medusa, who conveniently defeats the mercenaries for them, making the whole story that introduced them worthless. And there's a clever twist on her where she can't be defeated by seeing herself, as that part of the myth was a lie. Which makes sense, it would be an easier way to defeat her. So instead, Sonic cloaks himself in Amy in sand so they can hit the image of her, and she can't use her powers in what she can't see, apparently. This story is just more padding instead of Sonic and Amy immediately escaping the planet. And it doesn't have world building of the planet because they're just in desert land again. And combine that with the art, and I feel like it never should have even happened. Especially since Techno should have noticed that Amy was gone for a long time and gone in here herself to get them both out. But I do like the story, in theory, just not looking at it.